Dear students, today we will start a new chapter, that is accounts from incomplete records, or even we call it as single entry system. So let us start with the theory part. We'll first see the meaning of single entry system or accounts from incomplete records. The name itself gives the meaning, that is in where the accounts or records are not maintained completely. We call it as incomplete records, that is which are not strictly kept according to double entry system are known as incomplete records. So the books of accounts where double entry system is not followed, such system of accounting we call it as single entry system or accounts from incomplete records. As I said, it is also called as single entry system. Under this system, records of cash and personal accounts of debtors and creditors are properly maintained. So what happens in single entry system? Depending upon the proprietor's requirement, the proprietor thinks that he has to maintain only specifically cash transactions properly and few transactions of debtors as well as creditors. So what he feels important, only those transactions will be maintained. That is why we say records of cash and personal accounts of debtors and creditors are properly maintained. So it is that system of accounting where each and every transaction is not recorded in the books of account. We call it as single entry system or accounts from incomplete records. Now, under this system, the information relating to assets, liabilities, expenses and revenue is partially recorded. Partially recorded means only what the proprietor feels it is important, only those transactions he will record. So each and every aspect of the transaction is not recorded. That is why we say whatever assets, liabilities, expenses and revenues occur in the business, the proprietor records them partially. Hence, these are usually referred as incomplete records. That is why we call them as incomplete records. The records are not completely maintained, they are maintained as per the convenience of the proprietor or as per the convenience of the owner. Such records we call it as incomplete records. Now what are the features of single entry system? We'll see one by one. So as we don't maintain the records completely, we call it as unsystematic method, because we don't record each and every transaction of the business. So it is an unsystematic method of recording transactions. Records of cash transactions and personal accounts are properly maintained and there is no information regarding revenues or gains, expenses and losses, assets and liabilities. So as I said, the proprietor records all the cash transactions, but he will not record the full aspect of the transaction related to assets, liabilities, revenues and expenses. Personal transactions of owners may also be recorded in the cash book. So the proprietor may also enter his personal withdrawals, that is money withdrawn for his personal use, we call it as drawings. Only all those such transactions also are recorded in the single entry system. Different organizations maintain records according to their convenience and needs, and their accounts are not comparable due to lack of uniformity. So the organizations who adopt single entry system, there is a problem of maintaining uniformity, as they don't record each and every transaction, each and every aspect of the transaction. You cannot compare your organization with other organization, as there is no uniformity, because the firm has not maintained the complete records of the transactions. Next is to ascertain profit or loss. For obtaining any information, any other information, necessary figures can be collected only from the original vouchers. So as the proprietor has not maintained complete records of the transactions, so whenever if he feels that I want to have a look for other transaction, he has to refer for the original vouchers, right? So it is a tedious work for him if he feels that if he wants to verify any transaction, or if he wants to find out some records, then he is totally dependent on original vouchers, as all the transactions are not recorded. The profit or loss of a loss for the year cannot be ascertained under this system with high degree of accuracy, as only an estimate of the profit earned or loss incurred can be made. So this system, as we don't prepare trial balance here, in double entry system you have already solved the problems on final accounts. Processes: we first record the transactions in journal. From journal we post them into ledger. We balance each ledger account, and whatever balances we get, whether it is debit balance or credit balance, we transfer it to trial balance. With the help of balances of ledger accounts, we prepare a trial balance, and from trial balance we prepare trading account, profit and loss account, and balance sheet. So their arithmetical accuracy can be found very well. Mistakes of the accountants can be very well checked with the help of trial balance, but such thing doesn't happen here. So there is no high degree of accuracy found in case of single entry system. And profit and loss statement, what we prepare in single entry system, it is just the estimate of profit earned or loss incurred. And whatever balance sheet we prepare in single entry system, that does not reflect the complete financial position of the firm, that is the position of assets and liabilities. So why few firms or many of the firms adopt single entry system? There are reasons. First is, this system can be adopted by people who do not have the proper knowledge of accounting principles. So if you are adopting single entry system, there is no need of having full knowledge of accounting principles. With some knowledge you can maintain the accounts. It is not expensive, cost involved is low, as specialized accountants are not appointed by the organization, so it is cost effective. Another thing is, it consumes less times, as the proprietor is not maintaining each and every book of accounts. It shows that the time what is required to maintain the records or maintain the books of accounts is very minimum. It is convenient for the owner to record the transactions which he feels important. That is why I said few personal accounts and cash account only is maintained by the proprietor. So it is convenient for the proprietor. These are some of the reasons why most of the firms, they go for single entry system. The next topic is limitations or demerits of single entry system. The reasons we can consider here as merits, and demerits we can also consider it as limitations. Demerits are nothing but the limitations of single entry system. As double entry system is not followed, trial balance cannot be prepared and accuracy of accountancy cannot be ensured. So as I have already explained, we don't prepare trial balance in single entry system, so you cannot verify whether the records maintained are accurately recorded in the books of accounts or no. Correct ascertainment and evaluation of financial result of business operations cannot be made. Analysis of profitability, liquidity and solvency of the business cannot be done. If you want to calculate the profits of the firm, if you want to calculate the liquid ratio as well as solvency ratio of the firm, you will not get it the accurate ratio, because you are not considering the each and every aspect of the transaction. The owners face great difficulty in filing an insurance claim with an insurance company in case of loss of inventory by fire or theft. When you have not maintained the transactions fully or completely, and if you undergo a loss by theft or by fire, then calculation of inventory becomes difficult. It becomes difficult to convince the income tax authorities about the reliability of the computed income. So when you are not maintaining complete records of the transactions, and personal withdrawals of the proprietor are also included in the cash account, it is found very difficult for the owner to convince or to tell the income tax authority that this is my exact income for the financial year. So these are some of the demerits or limitations of single entry system. Now we maintain we prepare three statements, or we prepare three accounts under single entry system. We call it as books maintained under single entry system. First one is statement of affairs, second one is statement of profit or loss, third one is revised statement of affairs, that is closing balance sheet. We'll see one by one in days to come. In next few classes you will see the format of each account, and how to prepare you will learn in upcoming classes. First one is statement of affairs. It is as good as balance sheet. We prepare statement of affairs at the beginning of the financial year and at the end of the financial year, depending upon the problem. Why we prepare statement of affairs? To ascertain opening and closing capital. Suppose if the problem gives or mentions opening capital and they have not mentioned closing capital, then you prepare closing statement of affairs. If both are not given, then you prepare only one statement stating opening and closing statement of affairs as on, that is opening of the financial year and closing of the financial year, to ascertain opening and closing capital. Second one is statement of profit or loss. Now there is a format how to prepare this statement of profit or loss. There is a format you will learn in days to come. So why we prepare statement of profit or loss? To ascertain whether the proprietor or the owner of the business has earned profit or incurred loss. And last one is we prepare closing balance sheet, that what we call it as revised statement of affairs, right? So revised statement of affairs is nothing but closing balance sheet of the firm, which tells the financial position of the enterprise or of the business at the end of the financial year. So these are the three accounts we prepare. Depending upon the problem, we prepare statement of affairs to ascertain opening or closing capital. Then we prepare statement of profit or loss, and third one is revised statement of affairs. So today we will take first one, statement of affairs. I have given a small, first we'll see the difference between balance sheet and statement of affairs. As I said, revised statement or statement of affairs is as good as balance sheet. Now balance sheet is a statement where we get to know the financial position of the firm at a particular date, right? So in balance sheet we record liabilities. Under liabilities we see the capital. We calculate the capital in the financial statements. I have already told you how to calculate the capital. We take capital, what is given in the trial balance. We add net profit if net profit is earned. If there is net loss, we deduct it. We have seen the format. So same, the format is same here, but in single entry system we don't say, or we don't call it as balance sheet, but we call it as statement of affairs, right? So this is the difference, balance sheet and statement of affairs. The format is same, but under single entry system we prepare statement of affairs, we name it as statement of affairs and not balance sheet, right? So we'll see the difference between balance sheet and statement of affairs. Now statement of affairs is not reliable, as we don't prepare books of accounts by recording each and every transaction, because in single entry system, that is why we call it as accounts from incomplete records. The records are not complete. So statement of affairs is not reliable as it is prepared from incomplete records, whereas balance sheet, it is more reliable as it is prepared from double entry system or double entry record. So balance sheet is more reliable, statement of affairs is not reliable. What is the objective under single entry system? The objective of preparing statement of affairs is to estimate the balance in capital account on a particular date. So here we are not particular about showing the financial position of the firm at a particular a particular date, but here we are more specific about finding out the capital balance on a particular date. Whereas here under double entry system balance sheet, the objective of preparing balance sheet is to show the true financial position of an entity on a particular date. Next is omission. Omission of assets and liabilities cannot be discovered easily. Omissions of assets or liabilities can be discovered easily and can be traced from accounting records. So if any mistakes takes place under single entry system, the owner has to completely depend on original vouchers. He should keep on searching the voucher to find out the track of certain records or track of certain transactions. So omissions of assets or liabilities cannot be discovered easily under single entry system by preparing statement of affairs, but it can be done easily under balance sheet because the proprietor maintains the records completely, fully, authentically, and as I have already said, in double entry system we prepare trial balance so accuracy can be maintained, right? So these are some of the differences between statement of affairs and balance sheet. So question may come for 2 marks. Write any 2 differences between statement of affairs and balance sheet, or differentiate statement of affairs and balance sheet by 2 points. So here is the format of statement of affairs. We write the heading as statement of affairs as at the date we are supposed to mention liabilities, bills payable, creditors, outstanding expenses, capital, that is our balancing figure, assets, and amount in rupees. So I said that first account books maintained under single entry system, the first thing what we prepare is statement of affairs to ascertain opening and closing capital. So depending upon the problem, we prepare this statement of affairs before preparing statement of profit or loss, and this is the format of statement of affairs as at. So if you are finding out opening capital, then you will write the date as 1st April 2018, and if you are preparing statement of affairs to find out closing capital, then you will write the date as 31st March 2019, right? So this is the format. It is as good as balance sheet only. Liabilities, amount in rupees, assets, amount in rupees, right? So we'll take a small problem today, just a small problem to find out opening capital as well as closing capital. So Mr. Akshat keeps his book on incomplete records. Following information is given. So here on 2 different dates the information is provided. One is at the beginning of the financial year and second one is at the end of the financial year. So April 1, 2016 and March 31st, 2017. So information is given, that is assets and liabilities are given with 2 different periods, one at the opening and second one at the closing of the financial year. So cash in hand, cash at bank, stock, debtors, business premises, furniture, creditors and bills payable. So this includes both assets as well as liabilities. So we are supposed to calculate here opening capital as well as closing capital. Opening capital on 1st April 2016 and closing capital on 31st March 2017 at the end of the financial year. So this is the format. Now here, instead of preparing twice the statement of affairs at the beginning as well as at the end, what we can do here, we can have 2 amount columns liability side and 2 amount columns asset side. One amount column, first amount column will be April 1, 2016 and second will be March 31st, 2017. So it saves time. In one statement of affairs only we can prepare, we can find out opening capital as well as closing capital. So this is the solution. So here I have written the heading as statement of affairs as on, that is 1/4/2016 to find out opening capital and 31st 3/2017 to find out closing capital. So first we will prepare the format. Liabilities, as I said, 2 columns at the liability side, 1/4/2016 amount in rupees, 31st 3 2017, write amount in rupees. Though I have not written here, you are supposed to write amount in rupees. Come to asset side. 1/4/2016, that is at the beginning of financial year, amount in rupees, and 31st 3 2017 at the end of the financial year, amount in rupees. So what we will do, first we will classify items based on assets and liabilities. So cash in hand, it is asset. So here in amount column, cash in hand, asset. First 1/4/2016 1000, 31st 3 2017 1500. So like this we are supposed to write. Cash at bank 15,000, 10,000. Stock is also an asset, 1,95,000. Debtors is also an asset, 42,500, 70,000. Business premises is also an asset, 75,000, 1,35,000. Furniture 9,000. Furniture 9,000, 7,500. Creditors 66,000. Till furniture all are assets, so they will go to asset side of the statement of affairs. Depending upon you are supposed to write specifically from at the beginning as well as at the end. So till furniture you are supposed to write it at the asset side. So cash in hand, cash at bank, stock, debtors, business premises, furniture. Right. Now last two items. First one is creditors. It's a liability. Write it liability side, 66,000 and 87,000. And next is bills payable, 44,000 and 58,000. So liability side, creditors 66,000, 87,000. Bills payable 44,000 and 58,000. So your statement of affairs, whatever was given in the problem, you have recorded. Now we are supposed to total each side. Now asset side is more. 1/4/2016 asset total is 2,42,500. Deduct 66,000 and 44,000. Your opening capital is 1,32,500. So write that total both the side. 2,42,500, 2,42,500. Right. So your opening capital, here I have written capital balancing figure. So 1/4/2016 means opening capital is 1,32,500. Same way, close statement of affairs as on 31st 3 2017. The total of asset side is 3,19,000. Deduct 87,000 and 58,000. The balancing value is 1,74,000. So total of liabilities is 3,19,000. Write it both the side, 3,19,000. So 3,19,000. Your answer is, balancing figure is 1,74,000. Now you have written it here in 31st 3 2017. It means it is closing capital. So opening capital is 1,32,500 and closing capital is 1,74,000. So this is the way how we prepare statement of affairs at the beginning of the financial year 1/4/2016 and at the end of that same financial year 31st 3 2017. For what purpose we prepare the statement of affairs at two different dates? To find out opening capital and to find out closing capital. Now it depends upon the problem. If sometimes problem mentions opening capital, then you are supposed to prepare closing statement of affairs as on only on 31st 3 2017 to find out closing capital. So depending upon the problem, you read the problem carefully and find out whether you are supposed to prepare statement of affairs at the beginning as well as at the end. Then you are supposed to ascertain both capital at the beginning and capital at the end of the financial year. So this is the way we prepare statement of affairs to find out opening capital and closing capital. If at all you have doubts, please get back to me. This is a very important chapter. One question will appear for 12 marks. Accounts from incomplete records, we also call it as single entry system. What do you mean by single entry system? Where each and every aspect of the transaction is not recorded, or where double entry system is not followed, we call it as single entry system, or we call it as accounts from incomplete records, right? And these are three accounts we prepare: statement of affairs, statement of profit or loss, and revised statement of affairs. Today we have seen one problem on statement of affairs to find out opening capital and closing capital. Yes, thank you.